This is the Team Objection podcast for April 23rd, 2020, episode 434. And before we get to anything, I just want to put a programming note up there up front because people need to know what the future holds. Next week, there will be no show on Thursday because it's on Friday. Me and Michaela did a full review of Trails of Cold Steel 3, and that's the day that the episode will air because it's the day after the final video for the game posts.
I actually think it's really good. I listened to the whole thing.
Okay, interesting.
So I think I would say listen to it even if you don't really know the game that well because you guys have some interesting commentary. I didn't know half the things you were saying, but I was interested in how you were saying about them.
Like, I know literally nothing about that game. I couldn't name one character.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And I'm almost there, but I still thought it was good. So.
All right.
We did sort of a miniature breakdown the same way we did for Persona 5, except instead of 3 hours, we just kept it to like a tight 1:15. So, yeah, don't be daunted. Yeah. And we could have talked for much longer. I mean, like any good long RPG, if you really care about it, whether you love it or not, if you care about it a lot, you're going to have tons of things to say. We just avoided going off the deep end too much.
Yeah, you'll find out in our review of Persona 5, which is probably that will be the week after. Although if you want to stagger big JRPG reviews, maybe we do a regular show again.
Yeah.
And then Persona 5.
In normal times, I would think about that. Right now,
Whatevs.
you know, binge our podcast episodes of long JRPG reviews just like you'd binge games or anything else that you can do right now with your time.
Dude, our Persona 5 review is going to be really good. So I just want to tell you, I got to the new content, and I'm just like...
I wish I could I want to just start with the new content. I wish I could just, like, go to it and just start.
You know what? You think that... And that might be true because you just played the game, right? But, like... If you had the plan to play the whole game again, there is no better place for it because they managed to make it feel like a natural extension of the plot. But they also, like, by the end of the game, you start getting a little bit like, I've enjoyed this immensely, but I'm ready for it to be wrapping up. Mm-hmm. And then all this new plot comes and it like reinvigorates it. Mm. Whereas if all the new plot was at the beginning, then you'd be like, okay, all the cool stuff's done. Now I have 100 hours left.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do want to know, has anyone tried or seen played a little bit of the new Final Fantasy VII Remake?
No.
No, I have it, and I can't wait.
I played a little bit of the demo. I just downloaded the demo on PlayStation because I was just curious to see kind of how it plays, how it looks. It looks amazing, like amazingly good. I love what they did with it and how they gave voice actors and stuff like that to it. The battle system, I can't get over it. I feel like I'm playing God of War. I hate it.
So I will say, if you are a traditional, like a purist, maybe not even a purist, just like if you prefer the turn-based, that could be an issue. But I've heard overwhelmingly good things about the battle system for an active battle system. Like I've heard they took some missteps along the way to arrive at a battle system that's actually really good finally.
It's just one of those things that I just feel so much like Final Fantasy at its core. And I know it's changed since 10, 11 or so, but like Final Fantasy at its core was always turn-based. That's how it started. It's kind of out of the mold of Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of where it came from. And I just kind of wish it stuck to those roots a little bit. You can change the story and have amazing different side quests and different things to do and upgrade that type of stuff. But at the core, I feel like the battle system shouldn't change.
Or at the very least, the evolution should be baby steps and not monumental change that just modifies the core value of it. Because, like, Dragon Quest is a series that I think has changed too little. And as a result, even though the most recent one at least added some quality of life stuff to finally make it a little more modernized, it almost feels too slow and clunky in a modern-day age. But this has gone completely off the deep end because it's no longer turn-based whatsoever anymore, and it hasn't been for basically, 15-plus years? Mm-hmm. And that is a bit frustrating for somebody who identified with the core concept of turn-based first and has not disliked all the action stuff, but has not loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you could even argue 10 was the last one really to do turn-based. Like, 13 was...
And 10 too, but
weird
nobody
hybrid.
counts that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 2, for all of its problems, its battle system was kind of like 10, where it was fast-paced and it was turn-based still. And I still like that aspect of it. Everything else about the game I did not like, but...
Well, I don't know, we talked about it before, like, just because it's turn-based doesn't mean it has to be slow and plotting. Persona 5 wasn't that way. Final Fantasy X wasn't that way. I think Final Fantasy X, to me, is the pinnacle of battle systems. It's my favorite by far, and I know people shit all over it. They're like, what, you can sit there all day thinking about what you want to do. I'm like, Yeah, I know. It's kind of enjoyable if you want.
Or you can make it really, really quick. Once you're in the flow of the game, you're swapping characters in and out, doing this attack, doing that. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. That's one of my favorite systems I've ever played. Yep. So, to your point, I mean, no, I have not played Remake yet. I will at some point because I think the nostalgia factor is too powerful for me not to experience it, no matter how much I dislike the battle system ultimately. And the one thing I have seen that's been really complimentary is the idea that it's like a love letter for anybody who played it at the time because it sort of actualizes the way you viewed these painted backdrops and horribly polygonized characters back then in just this really full, fleshed out, beautiful world.
And I've heard it's a complete game, like as much as complete as something like Fellowship of the Ring would be, where clearly there's more story coming. This is just a part 1, but it doesn't feel like, okay, that was like not worth my money.
It's tough because the original Final Fantasy VII was 3 discs, all in one game. This one, you're paying full price for basically a third of the game, I think.
In a way, but it's 30 hours of gameplay. 30 to 50.
And they threw in extra stuff, which is kind of cool. Like, they put in a little bit more dialogue between Wedge and Biggs in the very beginning, which I thought was kind of cool, just to, like, give them a voice a little bit more so. And like, I like kind of adding stuff to it. I wish it would have been, I don't know, a little bit more. So, and I forgot at all what I was going to say.
Well, you gotta play the rest of it and see.
Yeah. I will. And it is going to be really, really hard for me to get over the battle system, but I think I can do it.
But you liked God of War.
I did like the newer one. I don't know.
Does this feel like the old one to you?
I thought so a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I felt like all I had to do was just slam the square button, and that was it. And that's boring to me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Although what was fun is recently I downloaded the original Final Fantasy VII on my Switch because I kind of wanted to have it play every little once in a while. Like, I'm bored for 10 minutes. Here, I'll play for a little bit. And so when I opened up the demo, I started the demo, which is the very beginning of the game, and opened the Switch game at the exact same moment and just watched them together. I'm like, we've come a long fucking way in 23 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A long way. I held it up to my wife. I was like, yeah, look where we were.
And this is cutting edge. Like,
yeah.
You know.
97? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, so I shouldn't even say cutting edge, but like there were reviews that were like the most realistic graphics ever. Because if you look at Super Nintendo and you're like, yeah, great, but it's not realistic.
It's a cartoon still, yeah.
Oh.
And in those cutscenes, which are miles ahead of the rest of the stuff in the game, they don't hold up now. Nothing from back then really holds up now per se, but at the time, you can even see just when you go from a regular scene to a cutscene in that very game, how huge the gap was for them then.
Yeah. Yep.
But Square Enix has always been on the cutting edge of visual stuff. I mean, it's why Spirits Within was a visual masterpiece that had absolutely no fucking substance whatsoever. They've always been ahead of the curve as far as making things look pretty with the systems they have at their disposal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll play it at some point. It's not high priority for me. I was going through Royal, and I realized I was going to definitely play that to its completion before I ever got to Remake.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be $10 cheaper by the time I get to it. I don't know.
Next up is Resident Evil 3, which I've heard is about a 6-hour game for $60. So that hurts, but I'm excited. I'm excited.
You can rent that one, knock it out over a weekend.
Well, you would think so, but I already bought it.
There were some complaints about that.
So don't tell me that now.
To see one of the different scenes for a side character a confidant I wasn't going to spend time with. I found there's like a 7.5-hour video that just has all the romance, like 1 to 10 for all the characters that are possible.
Interesting.
And it ends up being 7.5 hours, and somebody's like, so this on its own is longer than RE3's remake. I was like, damn, that's not really a fair way of looking at it, but you're also not wrong. Oh, shit.
God.
And this is why Persona 5 Royal is 130 hours long.
Yeah.
That's partially it. Yeah, and obviously most people are not going to ever do all those confidants, period, let alone romance all of them. But you could.
Dave, I got all the confidants.
Nice. Very, very nice.
I didn't romance all of them because that would take... Well, I guess you could do a bunch in the same playthrough. It's just a bad result. But...
It's pretty much the amount of time. Yeah. Longer scenes as a result. But
Makoto doesn't deserve that.
No.
You don't two-time Makoto. Come on.
No, you don't two-time Makoto. So next up is Resident Evil 3, and then Final Fantasy 7, and then the Doom games, which I've heard very good things about the new Doom.
And he's making himself play the old ones before.
Although I've heard at least a review of the original Doom, they're like, the soundtrack is awesome. And I'm like, I hate the soundtrack. It is. I find it extremely obnoxious because it's just hardcore metal. Not even like melodic metal or like interesting metal, just like death metal.
That's funny. I agree with you on that, where that's not interesting. Like, that sucks. Like, I like metal music, but not when it's just like,
yeah,
and that's nothing else.
Oh, and they do a thing where it's like, and then it's like pauses. And it's like, okay, that's
too much.
I honestly play without the volume sometimes because it's like it's too obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even like my sensibilities are being offended. It's just like, this is annoying.
You derive no enjoyment out of it at all.
Yeah, at all.
So I have a report on my next game that I've been trying to play.
Wait, ladies and gentlemen, we have a running series for Quarantine Team Objection podcast. We are chronicling Dave's progress in getting through his backlog of gaming. He has already gone through Persona 5. Now he's on Red Dead Redemption 1.
Red Dead 1. So here's the thing I tried to do. I bought Red Dead Redemption 2. It's sitting unwrapped in my cabinet. Still wrapped. It's still wrapped up in the plastic. I haven't even opened it yet. But at your guys' suggestion, I was like, I'll play Red Dead 1. So I went in there and downloaded PlayStation Now, got the trial for it, and the old PlayStation that I have, unfortunately, won't connect to my 5G wireless. All it will do is connect to my regular wireless. So the connection is slow and choppy in my living room because my router is in my office.
Okay.
So the only way I can play it is to move my PlayStation into the office in a very uncomfortable chair and lock myself in a room, basically. So I played a little bit of it, and I've got through about 5 missions. That's it.
What do you think so far? That's not a progress report. Saying you got 5 missions, that's it.
The first time I played, I've only turned it on twice. The first time I played it was annoying as hell because it was choppy as hell. The internet connection just wasn't good enough because the PlayStation won't connect to it only connects to the 2 gigahertz connection, not the 5.
Sure.
So it's choppy as hell, annoying as hell. I'm like, really? This is how it's going to go? So then I moved into the office and hardwired it. The gameplay was fantastic. I liked the horse riding was fun. The shooting is actually okay. Like it wasn't like, hey, all of a sudden you're gonna pull your gun out and automatically it's gonna auto lock onto something. You've got to actually shoot it, but it seems intuitive and relatively easy to hit things. Like I was shooting rabbits, I think was the first mission I had to shoot. So that was okay. John Marsden in the first 20 minutes of the game, his personality is that of his horse. I think I told you guys. The entire time all he said was, "That's right, ma'am. Yep, I sure do appreciate that, ma'am. Okay, ma'am, I'll help you out, ma'am." It's like, dude, can you do something interesting at all? Like, at all? Besides being a cardboard box?
He'll get there. I still think Arthur Morgan's more interesting, but John will at least become more than what that is, by a lot.
Because seriously, I started playing, I'm like, I thought this guy was supposed to be like an outlaw badass, and all he's doing is tipping his hat every 5 seconds. Like, what's wrong with you, dude?
Have you seen Unforgiven?
No, actually.
Well, then I have no parallel for you. But that's kind of the point. Now, it does make for a dry beginning, especially when you don't really understand why that's the point. But the whole reason is he's trying not to live that life anymore, and as a result, he's almost like overcorrected, and it's I'm just gonna tip my cap to this person and help this person with this thing because I don't want to fall back into that old life of mine again.
Yeah, I mean, he did get shot shot by his former best friend or whatever his name, Bill was, whatever it was. So that's not a spoiler. It's in the first 5 minutes of the game. So.
Yeah, that's also why he's on the mend, so he can't really overexert himself too much. Like Shaun said, he'll get there, and the gunplay will get a little bit better when Deadeye gets more introduced, and you can start expanding those options a bit, because Deadeye's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did get to use that once, the Deadeye thing once, which was nice. So.
Yeah, makes you feel like a real gunslinger.
Yeah. And
then when you get to play poker, and then you can get an outfit that lets you cheat at poker, that's when the game's complete for me.
No.
I think you'll appreciate the slow beginning when you see it in context of the rest of the story, but it is slow and kind of intentionally so.
Now, luckily, it is slow, but because the game is shorter, that stretch is also shorter. When I think back to my time with Red Dead 2, my least favorite section by far is trudging through snow on a mountaintop in the very first 30 minutes.
I knew that was going to be a thing, so I think I was able to kind of brace myself for it. I had heard that the beginning is really slow and it sucks. So when my expectation was bad, it was like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Life is all about expectations, isn't
but
it?
my brain is weird. It can do things like that.
Because I wasn't expecting like
yourself.
I wasn't expecting like a fast-paced beginning, but I wasn't expecting that, and it's like, okay, Still walking. And there's conversations happening during it. It's interesting. It's not like it's an absolute slog, but I like when those types of conversations are voluntary. If I want to extend this cutscene and just want to like not fast travel, I can do that when I'm riding on my horse or whatever. In the beginning, I'm like, okay.
Lincoln's having like a lot of glitches when he's playing it. Like they're getting ready for a heist somewhere. Spoilers day for whenever he gets Red Dead 2, and they had like a escape wagon ready to go, and he said he was just watching it, and it slammed all the way across the street into the building across the street, all the horses and everything with it for no reason. It just took off. He said he fast traveled and his horse apparated like 100 feet in the air with him still on it, and it killed him and his horse.
Yeah,
beautiful. Also, Shaun, if you say spoiler after you say the spoiler, it doesn't count as giving me a spoiler.
Yeah, but like it's like a tongue-in-cheek spoiler because it's not. I mean, unless you really didn't think there was going to be any sort of heist or mission structure in Red Dead 2.
Hey, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Oh, spoiler! Spoiler!
No, see, that's wrong.
Don't say that.
I think Dave's big report was I played 5. Like, Dave,
I wish I could give more.
You know, in school, was your book report, I read through chapter 5.
So here's this book, Treasure Island. Here's a book called Treasure Island. It's about pirates with patches on their eyes.
Yeah, no, that was more than you gave us for Red Dead.
I wish I could give you more. I really would like to, but with internet connections not working properly and then having to move it into a different room and everything, and I had to go to my mother-in-law's house over the weekend, which... yeah, that didn't help gameplay. So I will try to do more this week.
Okay. I expect a full report. You have 2 weeks now. So I expect you to get at least halfway through the game.
And we'll see what we can do.
And if you don't, that's a flogging.
That's true.
Well, we can't like be physically near each other, so how could you give me a flogging?
You'll flog yourself and we'll watch.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse.
That's what you think.
You can't refuse.
And then when Caitlin appears on my screen,
exactly,
and she's dangling over a cauldron full of hot lava,
yeah,
the stakes might change a bit.
Yeah, I don't know, but you better get to flogging.
I mean, are you magical?
I'm not worried about her getting the disease. Kids are pretty resistant to it overall, so like.
True.
I am worried about the lava though.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Too.
If it splashes out of the pot, it's probably going to just go through the floor and then down to the downstairs. So that'll be a little rough.
It's like Breaking Bad.
Actually, what's fun, when you have kids, you get to experience kids games. There's a game literally that someone made called The Floor is Lava, where you put little tiles on the ground, and there's a spinner. It's kind of like Twister in a sense, where you spin to a color, and then everyone has to like race to that color, and then you take away a couple of tiles every single time. So it's kind of like musical chairs and Twister mixed together. So it gets kind of fun towards the end when there's only like 3 tiles left and 2 people, and you're like, row, gotta go. Like,
did you check your son into the wall to get that last tile?
So no, because actually when I was playing yesterday, Caitlin ran into me and fell on the floor, which the floor is lava. So she was trying to get to the tile. I was already standing on one, and she bumped into my hip and fell over. I was like, I guess you lose. Sorry.
How did she take it? Did she take it okay?
Yeah, she went, oh, no, Daddy wins.
I have a family where when the kids lose, they scream.
Oh, no.
And cry.
They know Daddy wins everything.
Oh, okay.
Don't call
That's
them.
just the rule.
Okay.
That's much better than the alternative, because, boy, are there some nightmare children out there.
Yeah.
Look, I'm fully prepared for the day when both my kids destroy me in every game we play, because it's going to happen someday. Like... I have 2 sons now. They're going to kick my ass in basketball one day. It's just going to happen. I'm going to get old. They're going to get better. It just happens.
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, it's just my body will break down faster than theirs.
No, I guarantee it. So let's think about this really quick. When your kids are 20 years old.
Alex is 4, so it's 16 years from now.
16 years. I'll be 49. Me, you, and Chris against Alex, James, and any... reasonably
whatever
person
friend,
of his choice.
Yeah.
We will stop them.
Let's see. 16 years now, I'll be 51. Chris and I'll be 51, you'll be 49.
Yeah.
We'll old man basketball them into hell.
49, that's...
Close moves.
I'll be getting real close. Within the next 10 years, that'll probably be my last basketball game, but I won't be there yet, goddammit.
Will basketball courts have reopened by then?
Maybe.
They haven't. I might not be alive anymore.
I don't know if they'll have reopened or if they will have been demolished in the nuclear war.
Great. Great. This is what I have to look forward to for my children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should have thought about that.
Before having kids, but like when I had kids before this whole thing started.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you should have thought.
Back in time.
I mean, Apocalypse was only a matter of time. I don't know that we necessarily knew it was going to be disease. Could have been a tidal wave, man.
I mean, a disease that potentially 60% of the population already has had.
I watched Umbrella Academy, and at the end of an episode, a chunk of meteor from the moon falls on the Earth. And it's a pretty realistic, I think their FX team was on it for just showing everything is fucked.
Did it
There's
look like the
fire everywhere?
Did it look like the moon falling in Majora's Mask? Just
no, because the moon was obliterated, so it's just a piece of the moon.
Oh, like in Sephiroth's attack.
Yeah, pretty much. But a piece of the moon, it was apparently enough to decimate the entire Earth.
Oh,
which I believe.
Yeah, it wouldn't take a gigantic piece to just obliterate all of the Earth.
Yeah.
The speed it would fall would just, you're done. Forget it. The Earth is done for.
Fun things to think about.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's...
Well, I try to play video games during a pandemic and avoid thinking about death to everyone.
Yeah.
That was your first mistake.
Well, I'm playing Persona 3, and that's all about death.
Yep.
3?
Yeah,
Okay.
I started 3, like, when I'm riding the exercise bike or on a walk or whatever.
What system is that on?
PS Vita.
Oh, you have one of those old ones. Interesting.
PSP first, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I gotcha. So, what else happened during pandemic time quarantine?
You watched Michael Jordan's documentary. I have been so interested in this.
I did. I watched the first 2 parts.
It should not have even existed. Like I feel like he doesn't sign off on shit, but he signed off on this one.
He did. It's interesting. I mean, a camera crew followed them around that entire season. So they have a ton of behind the scenes footage.
Do you know
they signed off on it then?
Do you know at whose behest?
Pippins, I thought.
Adam Silver.
Oh, interesting.
He was running NBA Entertainment at the time.
The not yet commissioner, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even a deputy commish. That was still a ways off. But he was the guy who actually sort of spearheaded that project back then.
Man, I like Adam Silver a lot. Got no problems with him. So it's really interesting just seeing some of the videos and stuff like that. The first 2 episodes, I'd say, again, starts out a little slow in the sense of it's all just kind of building the world that happened. You know, the first episode covered Jordan being drafted, his time at North Carolina being drafted. The second episode talked a little more about Pippen and his history and stuff like that. They talked about Jordan's first year where he got injured and then came back for the playoffs and scored 63 against the Celtics in that game. And Larry Bird made that famous. That wasn't Michael Jordan. That was God disguised as Michael Jordan tonight. Which, I mean, the game he had was amazing. I think it's still the playoff scoring record of 63 points. But I don't know. I mean, I think that phrase really took it over the top for a lot of people.
You just don't like Jordan, admit it.
No, I don't like Jordan at all. He is the best basketball. He is the best NBA player ever. I'll give him that. I don't know if he's the most talented person ever. I think there's debate on whether like basketball skills wise, but the guy was an unrelenting asshole who would win at any cost and was happy to win no matter how he won, as long as he won. So that gives him, I'd say, the edge over pretty much anybody else. And this is coming from a guy who loves LeBron and thinks all the shit LeBron gets is way too much.
That's sort of the key, though, right? Is the fact that the last part of what you said, he didn't care how he won. Mm-hmm. So when he has a minutes restriction because he's coming back from an injury and he gets held out of the end of a game down the stretch and like John Paxson or somebody makes a game-winning shot, he's just as excited about it as if he was the person to do it or a starter or anybody else. He does not care how he gets to that W as long as he gets to it, which I feel like was the biggest delineation between him and Kobe, except maybe their talent as well.
Yep. Yeah, Kobe was the I need to win myself type of thing. Yeah. And that, unfortunately, I think was bred out of the brand that Jordan became, because Jordan was known as the guy who, you know, as like people our age and a little bit younger maybe have seen, it was basically like Jordan never missed a game winner ever in his life. That was the mystique of him. It's like he just hit every single game winner ever and he was just unbeatable, never lost a game. Well, that's not true. And so kind of this mystique took over. And I think that was like that generation of mid 2000s players wanted to be that player. And nobody can be Jordan. He's a wholly unique individual.
Well, I think it's interesting, though. It's a point that Chris brings up, too, that like some of his most iconic moments are like passes to other big players, like Steve Kerr, like John Paxson. So
Fuck. I still hate that one.
That's the one. But I mean,
bring it up.
Isn't it interesting though? Because not only did Kobe and Iverson and other players in the 2000s deal with that, LeBron has dealt with that his whole career. Despite the fact that he's an excellent passer and willing to distribute to the right person at the end of a game, he takes flack for that. Why isn't he taking every single shot? It's like even Jordan didn't. Jordan would make the right basketball play, whatever he thought was going to help them win.
Yep. There was a specific one I remember for LeBron. I think it was 2008 or 2009, which I don't blame the guy for wanting to leave Cleveland for all the shit he took. I think he passed it in the corner to a wide open Danielle Marshall, I think the guy was, and basically sat there and got shit because Danielle Marshall missed a three. It's like Jordan would have taken that shot. Jordan never would have passed. It's like he was wide open and LeBron was triple teamed. What are you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
take the shot, triple team. That's what Kobe would do.
Exactly. And airball the shot and have fucking Ron Artest bailing out.
And it worked out, so he was right.
Now, I swear I'm going somewhere with this point, but like, Dave, did you enjoy Akechi? Did you like his character?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. I was trying to make a point that I was wondering if like the type of personality where it's like cutthroat, win at all costs, like sort of drive something that you just don't like, because I like that about Jordan. I like that it was, I mean, to a reasonable level. Don't like do illegal things. Don't kill people. It's okay if Akechi does it, but not Michael Jordan. And like, I like that.
I think there's a delineation between real life and fiction. And I think that's why I probably like Akechi, because it's fiction. It's a story. It's told that way. So it's like, okay, I can get behind the fact that this is fiction and this guy's cutthroat, and I can kind of appreciate the character for what he is. When the whole world from the basically 1990 through 2010, maybe, when kind of a newer generation of people came in, worshipped the ground Jordan walked on like he was a god and could do no wrong, for this flagrant asshole who punches teammates in the face.
They deserved it.
Cheats on his wife, gambles, smokes, like all these things that if the social media world of today existed back then, he would take so much shit for it. I just have a hard
time. Maybe. I don't know, man.
I have a hard time with it. The worship of him is what I think I have the biggest problem with.
Well, and I'm not going to dispute that, but it's an interesting point you bring up. In an era of Trump, where I feel like if you're an idol, you can get away with shit. And people still love you.
See, look at this shit. Like anything LeBron does is scrutinized by 24-hour sports networks, Twitter, Reddit, like every single outlet. If anything like the superstars do nowadays, Kevin Durant, LeBron, the biggest superstars, they get shit on all the time. There are people who like them, don't get me wrong, but there's not this universal love for them like Jordan was, because people don't like certain aspects of what they share. They don't like their personality. They don't like how they're portrayed. There's no unified love for a player anymore like that.
That's because the internet's too polarizing, and it was too late, because by the time things really started to pick up in the end of the millennium, start of the 2000s. At that point, Jordan was already established. He'd already won 6 titles, and he was basically untouchable. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because I think there's going to be an about face on LeBron and Durant and other polarizing figures of right now when they retire here in a few years, because time heals old wounds. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, does anybody talk about the fact that Michael Jordan went 3 for 18 in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals before he had a huge 55-point explosion against the Knicks? 3 for 18. Like, think about how much shit Kobe got for his 6 for 24 game. 3 for 18 is worse than that. Mm-hmm. But we don't talk about those type of games. We talk about the flu game. We talk about the Craig Elo shot. We talk about the thing that beat the Jazz. That all the stuff that lasts is the big moments. Are we going to talk about the fact that LeBron averaged 2.4 points per fourth quarter against the Mavericks, against that team that was supposed to win all the titles in Miami? By the time he's retired, no, not anymore.
I mean, but the difference is that people are going to somehow taint all of LeBron's titles. Now, if he wins another one, we'll see if we ever play basketball again. But people are going to be able to say, okay, 2012, he won that one. The Thunder were too young. It was a lockout season. Championships don't count in lockout seasons. 2013, well, he only won that year because Ray Allen saved his ass. Okay, 2016, he only won that year because Kyrie Irving saved his ass, which is a stupid
No
take.
way. No one. You're getting to the bottom of the barrel now. Like, I don't think anyone who knows basketball at all, so I'm sure there are some. No one's saying if it wasn't for Kyrie Irving, he wouldn't have won that one.
There are people said that at the time because he hit a big shot. But to me, what's the defining moment of LeBron's career?
The block.
The block.
Yeah.
Which was just as important in them winning that game, if not more so.
Yeah.
That's going to be the highlight of his career, unless he does something just extraordinary and actually wins another championship in whatever time he's got left. That's going to be the moment of his career.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because it was such a good play.
And it wasn't like Iguodala was showboating. It wasn't Jason Richardson in it. It was he just went for a layup, and LeBron got it a hair before it touched the backboard.
Yep. So, but as far as the documentary, I'm looking forward to seeing it expand a little bit more, seeing more of the inside, view of the locker room, a little bit more of the infighting that happened. Because I've heard a lot of people say, hey, when you watch this documentary, you're not going to like Michael Jordan. So I'm interested to see how they portray him, because everything before has always been portrayed him as this perfect figure. That was his whole marketing campaign. I want to be like Mike. Marketing campaign, Gatorade, Nike, McDonald's, Hanes, all these different things he pushed. His PR team was perfect back then. So it'll be interesting to see a different light.
I'm still going to like him, but I don't have to like everything. Obviously, in his infidelity, I'm not like, yeah.
Got him.
Good
yes.
You go get it, buddy.
Excellent.
But yeah, I mean, I'm all about that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I am excited to watch it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was reading about as I kind of read some articles behind the scenes, like the making of it, was that the only reason Jordan agreed to this was because they wanted to show more footage and not less. And the thought was that by showing this complete picture, it was going to be like, yeah, Jordan's still going to be regarded as an asshole by some people. Some people have already made up their mind about him either way. But you're going to see where all that competitive drive led to. And how it paid off for him and his teammates over those, 6 years / 8 years. And you know what? It's interesting because, his PR team and his choices back then were pristine. And you know what he's done since then? Almost nothing. No. You know why his mystique has ballooned to the level that it has since he retired? Because he isn't out there on social media. He's not out there taking political stances all that often. I think that, as much as anything else, is what hurts LeBron and Durant and other prominent athletes now, is that they dare to have an opinion on anything, and they're expected to. All those things resonate with people.
And that's tough, because if you don't have an opinion when you're in the spotlight, you're a coward. If you do have an opinion, you get ripped on by the other people who don't agree with your opinion, because no one's ever going to agree with it. So it's a lose-lose situation. But someone like Michael Jordan, who has this reverence, and the past is what people look at. They don't look at him now. He can just scot-free away. He doesn't have to have an opinion. He can cry at the Hall of Fame ceremony. People make funny memes of his face, and that's it,
Yeah, and at Kobe's funeral.
What do you think Kevin Durant's legacy is going to be? I think it depends, obviously. Like, if he goes in and wins a bunch of titles with New Jersey, which is not going to happen, I will eat my own shoe if he wins a championship with Kyrie Irving with this team in New Jersey.
Will it count if they win it in Brooklyn?
Shut up.
Because they're definitely not winning in Jersey. I think that's a terrible bet. You're never going to eat a shoe.
Yes.
But I know what you mean.
That's ace in the hole. You know that.
I know what you mean. Well, let's put out this hypothetical. If he comes back at about 90% of what he was pre-injury, which is guesswork at this point, but he's going to have plenty of time to get healthy now with everything going on. And he's, what is he, 32, 33?
I think.
Was he that old? Damn.
Or he will be 32 in the next season.
I think he'll be 32 by the start of next season, yeah. So he comes back at 90% and does not win another title. And he plays another, say, 5 years at that, second or first team All-NBA level. Where does that leave him in his career?
He's going to be looked at negatively, I think.
I don't know, because, okay, my inclination is to absolutely agree with you, but, like, he was by far the best player on, they won 2 with him, right?
They won
2 in a row. Yeah. Almost 3.
Probably, very likely 3 if they have a full healthy team.
Probably healthy team. Probably
with him and Clay healthy. I think they win that one.
Yeah. The Raptors don't beat them healthy.
I agree with you. So, best player on one of the probably great all-time teams. I mean, really, And he was the slayer. I mean, it wasn't like he would join that team and he was like Karl Malone on the Lakers. Like he led them. He was the killer.
He came onto a team with the unanimous MVP the previous season and was the best player on that team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
an absolute dagger to win the first title.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and then smaller knives throughout too.
But if those are the only titles he wins, and he doesn't win any with the Thunder, and he doesn't win any in the postscript after the Warriors with the Nets and whoever else that might be down the road, I feel like without another title, he can't be top 10 all time.
He's the type that people have that thing to point at and say, like, you know what? He just great player. He's a great scorer, but he just didn't have the thing, and he needed to join a super team to win.
Which is so stupid. It's really, it's one of my least favorite sports arguments because it's fucking dumb. It's like if you don't win a title, you get disqualified from half the conversations, like a Steve Nash, a Karl Malone, etc., a Charles Barkley. If you do win a title, but you do it as a hanger-on at the end of your career, for some reason that's a positive thing. Like a Shaun Marion getting one with the Mavericks, everybody's like, see, he's an NBA champion now. It's like, he was important to that team, but he's their fourth best player?
Maybe fifth, yeah.
And then if you do it in any other way, basically, than dragging the carcass of a team behind you, it just doesn't count the same. And it's just so strange to me. I don't understand.
But I get it because it's like it's a pride thing. I mean, it is the same mentality, right or wrong, but it's the same mentality of like you get your ass kicked in a pickup game and they're like, "Oh, let's change it up because this isn't fair." And you're like, "Well, no, that's bullshit. I'm going to win like with the cards that I was dealt. Like we're going to run this back." So and it's a pride thing. And I know, like, it's not, when you look at it rationally, maybe it doesn't make sense, but like, it's not always a rational thing. Like sports, there's all this other stuff. Sorry, Dave, what were we going to say?
Oh, just the issue is you can't compare apples to apples on this. The fact of LeBron going to a team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, nobody likes it because it was free agency and they made the decisions. But a team like the 86 Celtics that was built off of dumbass teams trading really good players like Bill Walton to the Celtics, the fact that they traded to draft Larry Bird, they had Robert Perry, like that team was built off of trades because they fleeced other owners. That was a super team, that 86 Celtics, absolute super team. The Bulls in the 90s, I mean, the fact that they were smart enough to draft someone like Pippen, they got Rodman, they got the best European player in Tony Kukoc. That is an amazing super team. But everyone says that Jordan, he was loyal, he stayed with one team. Yeah, but he had a fantastic team around him. It wasn't like he dragged the carcass of a team to win a title. And that's where I get frustrated with the fact of just because the team was built by free agency or by trades, I don't like the fact that you get more credit because you have good ownership that gives you a better team.
I think your point overall is correct, Dave, but I think you are giving way too much credit to the first three-peats roster. Because Kukoc was the second set. Rodman was the second set. You know who was playing for that first set? Fucking Bill Wellington and Stacey King.
Fair.
So I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, Jordan had all this help. He didn't really. He had some good complementary players in that roster. I'm not saying it was garbage, but let's not pretend like he had a big three there. It was basically they drafted Jordan, they drafted Pippen, and eventually, especially for the second tour, people realized, hey, like I want in on this, and then they got a lot of help for him the second time, no question.
Yeah,
it's just there's a difference when you choose where you go, and I don't even give that much flack. I don't like the way he left Cleveland, and I don't really. There's always a part of me that's like against combining all the best players. But like I was pretty much, they were friends. They enjoyed playing together. They happened to be extremely talented. And so that helps, but like, that was okay. That Miami team is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant going to a team that won the finals without him, to me was like, come on. And I get from a logical, rational decision, it makes a ton of sense. Money-wise, you get the championship. You get to play with really good players in a system that's really good and fun. But there's just like, where was your pride? That's all.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because of that cap spike. It never would have happened if the players weren't stupid, didn't space out that cap spike a little bit.
I mean, sure,
the confluence of events and the fact that if he doesn't do it then when?
Yeah,
exactly.
But
he has to wait 4 more years then when he's a free agent again. He's going to be 34 at that point.
I mean, I would have loved him to stay with Oklahoma City, but like I know that that's just getting like naive, right? Like I love it when it happens, but I get it, especially in today's NBA.
And he played with Russell fucking Westbrook. I would have pulled any remaining hair out if I had to play with that guy.
Of their big four, when they actually made the finals, the one he got stuck with was Westbrook, who's the best of the other three, but like they gave away Harden and got fleeced on it. They let Ibaka walk after making the space by getting rid of Harden. So I don't really blame Durant for being like, you know what, like
I'm out. Yeah, I don't blame him at all. And then the confluence of events of the timing let him join the Warriors. So I mean, yes, Shaun, I agree with you in the sense of like giving him flack for joining a 73-win team that just beat him the previous season. There is some flack to be given there, but also he won 2 titles because that was the best basketball opportunity, and I can't fault someone for wanting to get the best professional opportunity they can have.
I mean, I get that. I get it. I just don't agree with, like, that would be like if Magic went and joined like Michael Jordan. You know, like that's what we start talking about. Like you want to talk about super teams, like that would be what the old style equivalent would be.
Yeah, and it really comes down to when that time just free agency wasn't as much the same as it is now, and the salary cap and the CBA back then was a goddamn disaster. Like watching this documentary here, like someone like Scottie Pippen, it's well documented and it's talked about in this documentary. After his rookie deal, like 2 years into his rookie deal, he signed a 7-year, $18 million contract, which he wanted the financial security, but he was a top 5 player in 92, 93, 94, 95, and he was making $2-3 million a year or something like that when Kevin Garnett comes in the league as a 18-year-old high school rookie and is making more than him. It was tough for him to wrap his head around. So,
you know what's weird too? In addition to the examples I already mentioned, somebody like a Robert Horry, who granted we all hate, but he gets credit for his career because he won 5 or 6 titles.
3 with the Lakers, 2 with the Spurs, 5.
Did he win one with the Rockets?
No.
Okay. Anyways, gets a bunch of credit for, basically being the 6th or 7th best player on a bunch of championship teams. I guess you could sort of make the same case for Steve Kerr. And they won rings just by happening to be in the right place at the right time, and that goes down as one of the things that they get credit for in their career. And it's like they weren't even like a gravitational force. They just happened to be in the room, and they contributed. I mean, I'm not saying they weren't important, but like they weren't a top 5 player on any of those teams, but they won a bunch of titles. So people go, see, they were champions. And it's like, are you going to tell me that Steve Kerr is a champion and Charles Barkley isn't? Because, literally, sure, but like, come on.
You're going to say who's a better player in history? Of course Charles Barkley is. Like, Steve Kerr hit opportunistic shots. Great job. I'm glad that you had that clutching. And Steve Kerr also has that nice little thing of being a great coach. But, but yeah, I mean, as far as a player goes, like, you're going to rank players. If you want to start a team with a player, you're going to pick Barkley or Malone over Steve Kerr any day of the week. You want Kerr being your fourth, fifth option. So,
yep.
Well, I think it's interesting. Whenever we get into a basketball season again, in whatever form it takes, I'm actually kind of rooting for Golden State now. I was as much against them last year as anyone, but I think it's a good story. I want to see what they do now that they have kind of their core of their team back.
It'll be really interesting seeing how the draft is going to go after, no March Madness, and who knows if there's going to be potential workouts or how, if they're going to do in-person workouts or not for the incoming draft class. Then this draft class is not strong from everything I've heard, but the Warriors have a real chance at having the number 1 overall pick. So,
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have any huge stars, but it feels like it's going to have a lot of rotation depth. And if they can get an NBA quality starter with that high pick, to go with, Clay, Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins, and then a few hangers on they can probably sign for the vets minimum, they're going to be right back in the mix.
Yep, which doesn't bode well for our Suns.
But in addition to all the question marks about, you just mentioned on the college side, the draft side, where are they even picking? Is there a lottery? Like teams, if the season never comes back, at least the regular season aspect of it, teams have played a different number of games right now. Do you just stop right where it's at and then throw some ping pong balls in based on that? How does all that work?
Kenny Smith wants to do a full league tournament, single elimination until you get to like the Final Four.
Nope.
That'd be
not
sweet.
A chance in hell. I mean, it'd be fun. I mean, it'd be really fun to have a 30 team. You'd have a few buys thrown in there for the top teams, I figure. But wow.
I mean,
hell of an event.
If the long-term health risks weren't a concern, if you could just flip the switch and be like, all right, we're back. Like, we've beaten this. The vaccine's out. We're all good. then sure. But there's going to be fewer teams in the playoffs, not more.
Yeah, well, I think, and to be fair to him, I think you hear that and you're like, oh, he's just being crazy. I think the idea was you do a full team tournament, not just out of fairness, but so every owner and every city gets a little bit of income at least. They get one game, although, if it's away, maybe not. But you get what I'm saying, TV deals and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not like it's crazy or anything. It's just the playoffs. If we get playoffs for the season, and I think they're going to do everything in their power to do it to protect what little revenue they can get from TV, it's going to be like 8 teams.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the idea of a full league tournament because it's kind of like March Madness that we didn't get. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament that we didn't get on an NBA level, which could be fucking amazing to watch the best players in a one-game scenario all the time.
And I got to be honest, as a fan of the Suns, I'm more excited about it than like I would be the fan of the Lakers, for example.
Yeah.
We worked hard for kind of the security that you get by having a top seed. Now it's one and done. Yeah. Especially in the NBA, any team can catch fire and beat anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. The worst team could beat the best team on their good night. Absolutely. Yeah.
I see people trying to be like, there has to be a way to make this completely fair. And it's like, no matter what you do, that is impossible. As soon as the season had to stop, that ship sailed. Because now, let's say you did do that tournament idea, which would be cool and fun for a lot of ways. Like, I'm not against it. Let's say you could make the health aspect work. Does Golden State just run everybody back now?
They run Clay and Steph.
Steph, we know, was already, I think he played 2 games before everything. Like, he had just come back. Clay could come back by now. Do they make a run at it just because they're like, well,
here we are.
It's winner take all. If we knock out a high seed early, we're all of a sudden right in the mix.
They'd be fine with it.
Do the Nets have Kyrie and Durant come back because they've had the benefit of this extra time where they shouldn't have even played this season and now they can win like an asterisk title?
Yeah, I mean, and I get that that's the problem for sure. And to me, it goes down as a weird trophy, for 2020, but it's a trophy nonetheless.
It's better than vacant.
Yeah, you can say, well, they shouldn't have had that opportunity. And it's like, well, I mean, I saw him on the court, didn't you?
Yeah. They paid him all season.
Maybe these other teams should have been using that time to build their chemistry. So a team with their players injured for the whole season couldn't just come and whoop them.
I'm all in right now on a first round Lakers versus Warriors game.
Yeah, right?
Here's our championship game in the first round.
Yeah. Exactly. The Suns, I mean, could do some damage. Really, any team could. That's the thing.
Yeah, they really could. To catch fire for a couple games, just, Booker goes off for 35 a game, Ayton's 20 and 10, 20 and 15, something like that, and all of a sudden we're in the Sweet 16. We're in the Final Four.
Dallas. I don't think Dallas is a title contender yet. They could be if they catch fire in those.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason.
Anybody could. Yeah.
There's a reason why all these series are best of 7 now. It used to be 5-7, 7-7, and back in the day it was all 5s, but it's 7s that more often than not the more talented team wins.
Yeah.
And it's a 82-game regular season for that reason, and 162 in baseball, so that over time you lose the variance of the volatile one-off matchups. Well, just like baseball's wild card, give it anybody one game, you never know. One player gets hot, the more talented team could be gone like that. It's cool.
I've seen studies of that, like in the NFL, because they do have single elimination. The best team in the regular season wins so infrequently comparatively to other sports.
Yeah,
like the team that just squeaked in the playoffs wins the Super Bowl with relative frequency.
What's like the primary example of this? March Madness.
Yeah, exactly.
When some pseudo conference champion comes in and they won 21 games against whatever the hell they played. But they then beat the shit out of a 4 seed in the first round because they come in hot or whatever. And again, one game, all it takes is one bad matchup or one bad night, and see you later. That's why people love the tournament, because it's if it was chalk every year, even in a one-off, like everybody gets one game and they're out, you wouldn't want to watch it if it was just Duke and Kansas and Kentucky every single year. But it never is, because every year there's all these weird things that happen and people love it.
So, yeah, the more I saw that, I was like, that's dumb, Kenny. Is this 420? Are you okay? And now I think about it, it's like, from a revenue standpoint, from a quality standpoint, it actually might be kind of fun. I mean, this year's fucked anyway, right? So why not just do something cool with it?
I mean, it's a fun dream thing, and it's like one thing I almost want to like plug into NBA 2K20 or something and like simulate it just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll never happen in real life, but it's fun to dream on that one, because the single elimination tournament of NBA players for something like a championship would just be like, I always love watching Game 7s of the finals when it happens because everybody just balls out, you know?
Yep.
Everybody's completely playing as hard as they possibly can for this last game. And that's the feeling you're going to get every game for a month, basically.
It would offset the fact that it's probably going to be horrible basketball.
Yeah, it would be.
Because if they don't do any regular season games and they just jump right into the playoffs, that's when you're really going to start catching teams in a dangerous place in the first round. It's like, well, this is the first live basketball you've played in 4 months. And good luck.
Have fun.
Let's see if LeBron at age 97 can come back on no notice.
I would hope they would still do like a small exhibition thing, few games, get the legs under them. But then, single elimination. Let's do it.
The one reason that you could maybe get traction with that idea is if you're going to quarantine everybody, doing it in a short form tournament like that where half the teams are gone after 1 day so they can get back to their families and start their off season would be a major selling point.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would want to do it. I think they would be like, all right, you're going to have like 4 or 5 days to be able to get there and then run practices and maybe a scrimmage or two against other teams to get some basketball legs under you. But at that point, just shrug your shoulders and see what happens in the chaos.
If I'm Adam Silver, I'm like, look, this is a terrible time. Coronavirus, it's awful. We have the potential to tell a hell of a story, though, in the middle, and I'm going to go for it. That would be cool. We'll see.
Now, theoretically, do you do this tournament like in a row? Do you just do like 3 games in 3 days or something like that, then take a couple-day break and then do the Final Four?
Probably not, but probably like 1 or 2 days between, and that's it.
Just do every other day, or some teams play basically every other day or something like that.
I think you do 8 first-round matchups a day.
God, that'd be sexy.
For the first round. Maybe 4 a day, because that's 8 teams then. So that makes more sense. 4 a day. So the first round is 4 days. You get most of those into prime time that way. A couple of them are on NBA TV at like 1 p.m. But, who gives a fuck about like Grizzlies Pacers or whatever,
Yeah.
And then you can, that way you're still giving people time off in between. You're not trying to run back-to-backs in this thing. You're not trying to shove everybody out the door. But, you just live in whatever bubble that is for like 3-4 weeks until you crown a champion, and then everybody goes back home and separates and isolates again.
I would also want, just as kind of a way to get everybody engaged, I want like the kind of like how people do with the college rankings. I would almost want there to be a committee that ranks the teams, because like you said, Golden State getting their championship core back. Yeah, they're really rusty coming off of injury, but they're not the worst seed. Like they're not. So like I think that would be cool to have a committee rank them. I'm sure the top seeded teams would appreciate that too.
Well, imagine the selection show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking revenue, Adam.
You're not wrong.
Hit me up.
They televise now the All-Star draft basically nowadays. So you're not wrong in the revenue thought process. I mean, they need more. Players have been furloughed basically.
Now, we've seen that people are desperate for entertainment avenues, even though a lot of them bitch about them while they're happening. Like, there was the charity concert thing last Sunday night. The original Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is back right now. Jimmy Kimmel's hosting it. They're having celebrities on playing for charity. And they're doing big numbers because it's literally the only new stuff on television. Whose Line Is It Anyway right now is the highest rated show on the CW. Because they have new episodes coming out because they tape them in such big batches.
Oh, yeah.
So they're all of a sudden, and then when Supernatural goes off the air, by the way, they're also the longest running show on that network.
Interesting.
So they're doing big numbers right now because people just want stuff that's new and gets their mind off things. So if you could ever figure out how to get the hell to work, which is a huge hurdle, the NBA could be in a very unique position to strike because the NHL does not have the same brand awareness and spread that the NBA does. They could come out of this, can they recoup all the money they would have lost from these extended playoff series and stuff? No, but they could drum up a lot of interest really quickly.
You bring up an interesting point about entertainment and TV. I just watched the last episode of the season of Better Call Saul. So season 5 is over. I believe season 6 is supposed to be the last season.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm wondering if I'm going to watch season 6 before 2022.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I am. I think it's going to come out sometime mid-summertime 2022, which is very depressing to think about. I have to wait 2 more years to finish that show because I'm going to need to watch the whole damn show again in between. I'm going to forget too many details in between there, which is just depressing in that sense. And I'm thinking 2021 into 2022, the beginning of 2022 is going to be the most depressing TV we've had ever since TV's been invented, basically. Because no shows are recording right now. There's just not going to, there's all that backlog is getting played now. There's just not going to be anything available.
You can't even do like animated series because you still need the animators together and
You can at least do those to some degree, and I've seen that. I think you're going to see a lot more pilots and other projects greenlit for that.
Okay.
It's more difficult, no question, but at least it can be done remotely, whereas you can't have live action scenes in the same room right now. So it's impossible. So people might divert additional resources into it to make that less unwieldy. But I mean, I've talked to people who are like, they pushed so many movies back into the back half of this year, and it's going to make a logjam with all the other releases that were already slated for like the holidays, November, December, and it's like, no. Because they're just going to keep pushing whatever's finished back to give it its own time to play. Because, like Dave said, there's not going to be any new media created for another 12 months.
I mean, like you're seeing with Marvel, they're not pushing back Black Widow so it can run at the same time as the Eternals. They're also pushing Eternals, so they're also pushing the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see. I think what's going to end up happening on TV especially is going to be the writers' strike time of the late 2000s, where all we're going to get is reality shows for a few months, because those are easy to put together, quick to film, quick to produce, spit them out type of thing. So
I mean, I guess, but you got to keep people in the same place. That was the allure of those reality shows.
When you're able to keep people in the same place again, and then you have the time that you need to film your seasons of your scripted shows. Right now, for that intermediary time between when you have time to film scripted shows and produce them and show them, there's going to be that couple month gap in there that we're going to toss out a bunch of reality shows, it seems.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Probably.
I mean, there was now obviously this is unrelated, but like Netflix has put out two different like reality dating shows, The Circle and Love is Blind, which they're just garbage. They're so bad.
Why are you watching them?
I didn't watch The Circle. I watched Courtney watched a little bit of that Love is Blind show, and it was just disheartening. It was just so bad. It's like worse Bachelor. I hate all those reality shows.
Dave, let me ask you something. If they did pay-per-view for the first round of the single elimination, would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't give them ideas. I really just wanted to be on cable TV, but at this point, yes, absolutely.
God, ESPN and TNT would kill them.
I was going to say, I actually, if you're talking about revenue generating, pay-per-view would be great, but then they already have the existing TV deals that I don't think they can like renege on.
No, that's billions of dollars.
Yes. Yeah,
but I would do it too.
Yeah, it'd be too much fun, almost like. In a strange way, I think it would add an added layer of anticipation to it. Like
I would watch teams I don't.
Watch this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would do pay-per-view for teams I didn't even care about because this is it, and I'm interested to see it. Mm-hmm. You're very rarely going to get two shitty teams matched up if you do the rankings the right way. So it's always like there's a good team that I care about. What are they going to do?
Yeah, it's unfortunately one of those things where I would really like to go and watch it with a group of people, but that kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do right now. So that's depressing.
Yeah, and that's what I think anybody else that can come up with ways to take existing concepts and plug them in. I don't know, reality TV is the simplest, like you mentioned, but the reason Millionaire is back is because they're in the old studio. It has all the old music and lights and stuff, and it's all, the nostalgia kick, but the audience is not there. Mm-hmm. And they replaced that lifeline with Ask the Host, where they basically just ask Jimmy Kimmel for his opinion on an answer. And Jimmy Kimmel, is a smart dude. He's been on a variety of trivia shows before this, like Win Ben Stein's Money. So, like, they've modified it. And it's weird at first because, again, like watching sports, there's no audience, so there's no noise. And they have, like, producers and staffers that are clapping a little bit. But it works, especially in a pinch right now when there's nothing else new. It works. So as more producers can come up with ways to make existing concepts still watchable and interesting in the current climate, I think that's the other thing we're going to see. Maybe some more game shows and the like, because those can also be isolated. But yeah, I think it's going to be an influx of reality TV in the fall, and that's going to be kind of sad.
Did you check out the horse tournament?
I watched a couple like highlight clips of like 2 minutes apiece.
I appreciate the attempt. I love the idea of it.
Sure.
It did not work.
No, and it didn't work at the All-Star weekend before when they tried that for a couple of years. So I'm not shocked that it didn't work here either.
It was too bad because, I mean, I think if they were in the same place, there's a little bit of banter that could go on between them. But, like, the camera angles were bad. You need a proper cameraman, unfortunately, to do that, right? And when Zach LaVine is outside shooting or, and other people are inside shooting, it makes a huge difference when you're playing a game. Or you're having a WNBA player versus an NBA player, and it's like, okay, NBA player, you can't dunk, sorry. Mm-hmm. Then Zach LaVine jumps up and holds the ball over the rim and drops it into the rim. And it's like, I didn't dunk.
The floor is lava.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, one other thing that I think has been better, late night TV. Now, maybe not so much John Oliver's show because his is more long form, but even his, I actually like that all these guys can just show off the fact that they're all pretty smart and go through their material and not have to pause for dumbass audience reactions every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's been a win, and they can still interview people over like Skype or Zoom or whatever, like we talked about a couple weeks ago. You know, they're basically doing what we've been doing for a while. So I haven't really felt like I've lost a whole lot. Like, I don't need the Ed Sullivan Theater for my late night. I just, having somebody have another interesting conversation with somebody else right now is actually really interesting to me. So some things can still thrive, but yeah, you know, any big budget movies, any ensemble cast things, man, you're right. It could be 2 years before we get that stuff out.
I have enjoyed John Krasinski's Some Good News, and normally I hate fluff pieces, but that's all fluff piece, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's he's funny. He's a funny guy and does a really good job with it. So
it fills a hole right now.
It does. He does a really good job of it.
What's that on?
It's YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I watched one of them. Yeah, I didn't see the first episode. There's been 3 episodes, I think. The first one I didn't see, but the second one, he brought on the entire cast of Hamilton to sing the first song to a really big 9-year-old Hamilton fan, which was awesome to see the entire cast on. And the third episode, he hosted prom. Basically, he DJ'd prom for a bunch of people. They basically said, all right, turn your TVs on to YouTube, our live YouTube stream at this time, and John Krasinski's going to play a bunch of music, and you get dressed up for prom and have prom at your house, basically.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And Conan O'Brien crashed a Zoom call for some office on a video I saw a couple of days ago. I didn't watch the thing in full, but you know how Zoom has that kind of thing where if you're not careful about how you control the lobby, well, he found one and he just splashed into a thing with 12 other people and started dicking around with them. Like, that's great. That's the kind of inventiveness we're going to need to fill this gaping hole of content going forward. And the people that are smart about it are going to have a really unique platform to themselves.
And a really good PR, because, I mean, if you do this with I'm going to give in this show, report good news, give things, make people feel good, more so than you did in a scripted type of late night TV show, and it's a little more off the cuff type of thing, and you show really your personality in there, man, that's the best PR you can get right now.
Yep. Isn't that going to be that's like the case with everyone, though? Like all businesses, right? If they don't find a smart way to adapt,
they'll die.
They're in big trouble.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Who knows how many like societal norms are going to go out the window as a result of this?
I had to have an electrician come to my house, and it was kind of like, all right, there's where I need you to go. Don't shake hands. I'm going to hang out back here while you work on that, and then, all right, see you later. I'll pay you on Venmo. Like, that's how this went this morning. It was a weird experience.
Yeah. But at least that's still viable. Some other jobs are not. We even talked about shaking hands before, and you just mentioned it, but that's one where, will we go back to doing that? I don't know. Probably not in the short term.
Mm-hmm. It felt weird not to. Like, every impulse was like, I gotta say bye, thank you, and like put my hand out to shake his hand, but I didn't. Like, I did okay, thanks, bye.
So when it's 2 years of distancing to some effect, not like this, but 2 years of it maybe instead of a month and a half to 2 months, will that have just been ingrained out of you at that point? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. What does the world look like? I don't know, but we'll still be here. We're not going to stop.
So now's the time for us to strike with our D&D campaign.
Yes.
Come watch it. We're actually we're in a trial right now, Dave. It's very scary. It's good stuff, so you should check it out, and so should the viewers / listeners.
Probably post in like 3 weeks, because I kept a couple episodes in the back pocket since we weren't recording for a while. There was a lot going on, so right now we're going through all the individual stuff before that, so it'll be out pretty soon.
Okay.
Got it.
So check it out.
All right.
Any more parting words? This is the end of the episode, and you guys won't be on next week.
No, I'm good. I'm just ready for the Persona review whenever it happens.
Yeah, I'm ready to hear all about the stuff that I haven't played yet and comment on things I don't know about to compare it.
Dude, I'm going to blow your mind. I love the new story.
Damn it. I'm going to have to play this stupid game.
It is as good, if not better, than a huge chunk of that game.
I'm going to have to play this fucking game.
All 4 new social links are also interesting.
Yes. So
my family's gonna hate me thanks to you guys, but it's okay. I can handle that.
I mean, there's like a way that I can get you the game on like a save file at the beginning of it, maybe.
That'd be interesting to do.
Yeah, you're not gonna have all the. I mean, we'll talk about it later. We'll get there.
Yeah, but it'll be kind of nice because you've played the vanilla game a lot more recently than either of us have. So you can definitely compare and contrast in a way where we'll have forgotten some of the way things were in the original.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just beat it like a month ago.
Yeah.
So the first time I thought about it, I was like, well, Dave's not going to play it, so it'd be kind of weird to have it. I'm like, actually, it's not weird at all.
Mm-mm.
It'll be really easy. You can just be like, oh, yeah, so that's a lot better than when I played it. I was really missing that feature, or I would have liked to have had this happen.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well,
great.
So
You need to stop me.
That could be in 2 weeks, or it could be in 3 weeks. We're not sure yet. But one way or another, next week's show is on Friday. The following week, we'll return to Thursday, and then be back on the regular schedule from there. That's the end of this episode. We're going to cut out half these plugs. I actually need to rebuild these overlays at some point. I was thinking about doing it this week, but, fuck the social media. Nobody cares. I don't care. Nobody cares.
Just watch the D&D campaign.
Yeah, it's just objectionnetwork.com. That's the website with all the posts. And youtube.com/objectionnetwork. That's the one with all the videos. It's growing in ways that other things aren't right now. So, come check it out. It's great to binge when there's no other new content coming from Hollywood. We'll see you next time.